So hello all, welcome to the day one session of Selenium QA training. Today we are going to study about the manual testing. Okay, so manual testing is all uh, about the concept of how you do the software testing. Okay, about our course offering. I think most of you have already gone through the flyer that these are the week-wise covering we are doing in our course. We are two trainers here. First is Anand and second is myself, Chavi. I have over 10 years of experience in IT with different companies and different domains like banking and finance domain, e-commerce domain. It's for Sneha because Sneha was not there in the last class. So I'm telling her about my experience. Okay. So that's what currently I'm working in Cybridge company, Pune.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So about today's topic will cover about the software testing overview, SDLC, which is software development lifecycle and its model, principle of testing, STLC, which is software testing lifecycle, software testing types, software testing methods, software testing levels, the documentation, defect management process, and the interview questions. Okay. Now, what is software testing? Can anyone tell what is software testing? Why do we do? Why we do software testing?
To check like any errors in the developed product,
Correct.
like
Correct.
software.
Yes. So all clients want a good quality product, right? Everyone wants a good quality product. That's why tester comes into the picture and we do the testing. Correct?
Yes. And we also do testing just to see whether our requirement meets our, the end product meets our requirements.
Correct.
And it should be the bug-free product.
Correct. Correct.
And
the
if we
software,
deliver like the expected software product, then customer will be happy to, right?
Correct. Correct. So this is the key thing, that customer should be happy and whatever requirement he has given, and we are meeting those requirements, right? So that is software testing. Why we do testing and why testing is important. All these things are answered in this. Like software testing is defined as an activity to check whether the actual results matches the expected result. Correct? As you said correctly, that actual result should match the expected result, and to ensure that the software system is defect free. Right?
Yes.
Okay. So testing of a software also involves the implementation of product module system as a part of evaluating all or some of its properties through testing. Correct? So tester can identify the errors or the gaps and the requirements or the missing elements in a project or a system, whichever you are testing. Okay, the testing can be done both either manually or with the help of an automation tool, which are available in the market. Right? So it all depends on your client, whether the client wants your application to be tested manually or with the help of the automation tool. Okay. So why testing is important, as you already said, like in today's world, it is completely dominated by the machines, correct, and their behavior, which is controlled by the software powering it, correct? So, well, the machine behaves exactly what we want or not, exactly what we expecting to do that. If yes, then the answer is that's why software testing is required, correct? Okay. So if the testing is done properly before the launching of the application, will behave as per your expectation. Okay, so if the application is not properly tested, then there are chances that it might get crashed, right? Because the system is, because if you have not tested it properly, this is chances that it might get fail, right? In the, if you have not done the testing properly. So here software testing plays a significant role in testing a software or a system. If the bugs or defects are not properly removed from the system, it might lead to the system failure, and that's why testing is important. Okay. Now tell me, who performs the testing? Who does the testing?
Quality control people.
Anyone else?
The software testing professional, he or she, they do the main testing, the overall testing. Sometimes even developer, they test it by way of the unit testing kind of thing. But the software profession, the tester or SDET, they are the main person to test end-to-end software.
Correct. Like logically, this is correct, that obviously the software professional do the testing. But this question answer is depend on the process, that it's a connected to project stakeholders in the industry or information technology. So in big
Can
companies,
we say like this, Chavi? All the people who are involved
correct.
in that
Yes,
software.
that's what the answer I was expecting. Like each and every person, like whoever, whether it's a developer or a tester or even a manager, they all jump into the testing. They think that they can find the defects very well. So even though the dedicated testing is done by the software tester, but each and every person, even the managers, the stakeholders, everyone wanted to test the product before they launch it into the, before they go live, correct? So whether they are software tester, project developer, project lead, team member, or the end user, so these are all the people who take care of the software testing. So to understand more, let's see software development lifecycle. Okay, so this is called as SDLC. Okay, so what is this actually? Software development lifecycle is the process of industry to design, develop high quality software. So SDLC, that is software development lifecycle, aims to develop high quality software. That means what? It exceeds the customer expectation, correct? So it exceeds the customer expectation and reaches to it should be a cost effective also, and it should complete on time, correct? So as you can see here, it involves many phases. So many of you know that how many phases it involves, right? So first phase is what? Requirement analysis. Correct. So requirement analysis, or you can say requirement gathering, analysis is the most important phase in software development lifecycle. Here, business analyst, collect the requirement from the customer or the client as per the client's business needs, and they document. They document all the requirements in like a business requirement document specification, which is called as BRS, correct? In short forms, like BRS, and the documents are also named as like what CRS, customer requirement specification. So it might, depend on the organization to organization what you name it as. Okay, either it's called BRS or CRS, or it can call as simple requirement document. So anything you can call it. Next phase is what? Analysis phase, or you can say defining or analyzing phase. Once the requirement gathering and analysis is done, the next step is to design and document the product requirement and get them approved by the customer. So this is done through SRS, system requirement document, or software requirement documents, anything you can call it. And this software requirement specification consists of all the product required that we design and develop during the project life cycle. Okay, so all these requirements that we develop is all defined in this document. Okay.
Okay.
And key people involved in this phase, those are project manager, business analyst, and all the senior member of the team. And outcome of this phase is what? System requirement specification. Okay, so you all get the system requirement specification. Your architect has now given you the system requirement specification. Okay, now moving to the third one is what? Designing phase. Okay, now designing phase has two steps: high level design and low level design. So in HLD is what? High level design. Okay, it gives the architecture of the product to be developed and done by the architect and the senior developers. Okay, in low level design, can anyone tell who do the low level design?
Business
Architect.
analyst.
Architect.
Architect do the high level design. They do just HLD.
BS.
A product manager or something.
No, the developers, no, senior developers. The
Oh.
low level design is done by the senior developers. Here they design it. Each and every low level design is what? Actual designing. High level designing is what? Architecture, senior developer. They do all the high level designing. Now the
low level the low level design is something like the prototype kind of thing.
Prototypes and what all the before coding, when you start,
Okay.
So-
all these things like documentation or coding, means like just before you start the coding. So all these
So the
things.
screens and all like that, Chavi, like how
Correct.
exactly the application look
Yes.
like, or
Yes.
in which like is it flow charts come under low level design or high level design?
Flowchart comes under low level design.
Okay.
However, component should work, each and every product, how it work, how should it work. Here only the design will be there and not the coding. Coding is not there. Coding will come in the next phase.
Yeah.
Okay. So what is the outcome for this phase? For the low level document, the all the input phase for the like all the documents which are work for the coding part. So all these things are done with by this designing phase. Okay. Now coding phase. So what will happen here is developer of all levels here, like senior, junior, fresher, all are involved in this phase. And in this phase, we start building the software and start writing the code. Correct? Any doubt anyone have till now?
That's good.
Okay.
Chavi, one question.
Yes.
Can
Yeah.
you explain one more time high level design and low level design?
Yes. So in designing phase, there are two types of design, correct? High level design, which is called as HLD. Okay, it gives the architecture of the product to be developed and done by the architect and the senior developers. Okay, that is high level design. In low level design, it is done by the senior developer here, and it design each and every product. Like each and every product should work and how it works, and every component how it should work. Okay, that is done by the senior developer and the by senior developer. Okay.
Okay.
Here only the design will be there and not the code. Okay, only the designing part is there. And the outcome of this phase is what? A high level document and a low level document, which work as input to the next phase. So next phase, so that designing is input for the next phase, which is called as coding, correct? So you're ready with the design document. Now we start the coding. Okay.
Okay.
So coding is done by, as I told you, with everyone, like a developer, junior, senior, fresher, all are involved in this phase. Okay. And in this phase, we start building the software and start writing the code for the product. And the outcome of this phase is what? Source code document are developed in this part. Okay. So source code is developed in coding part. Now comes the testing part. So now the software is ready, okay, and is sent to the testing document where the test team tested thoroughly for finding the different defects. Okay, whatever is missed by the coder. So tester is going to find those defects. They either test the software manually or they can use the automation tool, as I have told you, depending upon the process defined by the software develop testing lifecycle, and also ensure that each and every component of the software work is fine. Okay, so this is the this is the tester duty to find that each and every component of the software should work as per requirement. Okay. Okay, now once the QA, that is the quality analyst, make sure that the software is now error free, or it is like a good to go for the life, it goes to the next level, which is what? Deployment. Correct? Any confusion here? We are implementing, now testing, now it goes to the deployment. And once that is done, like deployment is done, then what comes? Maintenance. Like, of course, you have to maintain that product. Like after successfully testing and product is delivered, software is deployed to the customer for the use. Now the deployment is done by deployment engineer. Once everything is done, the customer start using the deployed system. Then then the actual problems will come up, and that needs to be solved by time to time. Okay, so fixing those issues that raised in the when the customer comes, that is called as maintenance phase. You got my point? So as we will move ahead, we'll see the principles of the testing that says that 100% testing is not possible in any of the phase, like even the coding phase, testing phase, deployment phase. So 100% testing is not possible. That's why we do the maintenance, and maintenance should be done as per the services level agreement, whatever agreement you have with your client. So accordingly, you do the maintenance phase. Okay. So these are the phases involved in SDLC, and these are how it works. So now what? So now we have different models of software development lifecycle. Okay, which is waterfall model. First is waterfall model. We have a spiral model also, V model. Okay, so we will learn about all these models. So first is waterfall model. Anyone know about waterfall model?
Waterfall model is it is the process that everything will be done like one after the other. For example, like first they define the
Correct.
requirement and design, like step by step it is.
Step by step. That's true. That's correct. So um, waterfall model basically goes from as the water flows. You see, this is the way water flows, right? So requirement, design, development, testing, deployment, maintenance. So this is the way water flows. So once you come into the design phase, you cannot go back to the requirement phase. Okay. So, okay, now let's talk about the waterfall model and understand how it works. Okay. So waterfall model is a traditional model. Okay. It is a sequential design process often used in SDLC, in which the process is seeing downwards, like you see, like water falls. It includes different phases such as requirement gathering, okay, design, coding, testing, installation, and maintenance. Every next phase is big, and once the goal of the previous phase is completed, okay, then only it comes to the next phase. Okay, so this methodology is preferred in projects where quality is more important than the schedule or the cost. Okay, if the quality is more important and schedules and cost is not bothering you, that time we use this methodology is best suited. Okay, for the projects and short-term projects where the requirement will not change. Okay, for example, your attendance management or the calculator, etc. Okay, so that time this is a best model where you have no change in your requirement. Okay, when the requirement is not changing, that time these or for the small projects, this is very beneficial. So it's beneficial, but benefits of using this model are um, when the requirement do not change or nor does the design. So that time, so we can get a stable product, and this model is very simple to implement. Okay, so these are the advantages. Require that requirement and finalize earlier in the life cycle. Okay, so all these things like requirement things and everything are finalized well before. Okay, so this won't be any chaos in the next phase, that another, like, your requirement is fixed, so that you can go to the next phase. Okay, so that way it is very very good to use it as compared to other methodology. And every phase has a specific delivery in it gives high visibility to the project manager, because if this phase is done, the project manager has a good visibility that, okay, now the design phase is completed, now we have came to the development phase, now the development phase is completed, now we came to the testing phase. So it gives a good visibility to the project manager and also to the client about the progress of the project. So these are all the advantages. Now what is the disadvantages? Anyone, if they understood the waterfall model?
We cannot change the requirement, or the change is very, very tough actually. Changing
correct.
anything.
Changing is not possible. Like when you are in this phase, you cannot change the requirement. So that is the main disadvantage. You cannot go backtrack. Backtracking is not possible. So we cannot go back and change the requirement once the design stage is reached. So we cannot change the requirement. Okay.
Yeah.
So
And
that
another
is the
thing is, if there is any issue with the requirements, and then we go ahead with that requirements and then do the same thing in design, and that will also one problem, right, Chavi?
yes. So that is why it is only for the simple projects. For complicated projects, you cannot use the waterfall model.
Chavi, I have a question. Like this thing, like the waterfall, or is this used in the current world, like in this 2021?
That's what I said. No, if you are doing some projects for a calculator or for the attendance, That time you can use it. But now in the complicated projects, you cannot. Nowadays there is they don't use it. They use mostly agile projects, agile methodology. So
okay, thank you.
so that is just, you have to know about this waterfall model. This is just for your knowledge.
Okay.
So Chavi, if someone asks us like about where we use waterfall model in which kind of project, so what's the answer for that?
So that's the answer is like for small projects, we can use when the requirement is freezed. Okay, when we have a freeze requirement, fixed requirement. So there is no chaos in the requirement. Once the requirement is done, that means done. Then the next step. So in the small projects or the easy, not much complicated project, there you can use the waterfall model. It is not flexible. That is there. It is not a flexible methodology, correct? It is not flexible. It's very rigid. Once the phase is done, we will not go back. Sometimes it is useful when clients are very we have to be very hard with the clients because they keep on changing. So we have to be like rigid for them, that somewhere we have to freeze the requirement, correct? So that time we can use waterfall model. But usually in nowadays for the complicated projects, it is not used. Next is spiral model. So spiral model is the combination of iterative nature as well as sequential or linear development model. Okay. It is a combination of both prototype development process and the linear development process. That is your waterfall model, and the model places more emphasis on the risk analysis. Okay, so it involves a new phase which we have not gone through in SDLC, which is called as risk analysis. Mostly this model adopts large and complicated projects where there are risk is very high. So that time when there are risk is very high, that time we use spiral model. Okay, so every iteration starts with the planning. Okay, starts with the planning and ends with a product evaluation. Okay, evaluation by the client. So let's take an example of the product development team, like suppose there are Microsoft. Okay, so they know that there will be a high risk and they face lot of difficulties in the journey of their developing and releasing the product, because what they have so many releases, right? The next version, like suppose Microsoft has 7, 8, 9, 10. So they know that they have different releases. Okay. Releases of the project, and also they know that they will release the next version of the product, even though they are giving you the good product, but they know that after six they have 7, after 7 they have 8, 9, 10. So they could release one version of the product to the end user and start developing their next version, correct? Which includes the new enhancement and the improved one, correct, from the previous version. So they know that their next version will be like improved one from the previous one. So what will happen, like in such releases, like Microsoft releases Windows 8, correct, and the improve will be, so they are getting the feedback from the users, correct? So they take the feedback from the users and then they make the version 8.1, and it went on. So it mainly undergoes like phases, like planning phase. Okay, so this is a planning phase. correct? So after that requirement gathering phase, everything comes. Then comes the cost estimation. Okay, then resource allocation is also being done. And the next phase is what? Risk analysis. After risk analysis phase, here the strength and weakness of the project. You can know that how the project is, whether it is a weak project or a good project. And then comes your design and development phase. Okay, design, development, and engineering phase, where the coding, where you do the coding, internal testing, deployment is done. So, and the last is what? Evaluation, like client evaluation, client side testing, and they give you the feedback and etc. Are you getting my point? Just a minute, I'll be back.
Okay. Chavi, I have a question.
Yes.
So this one, the spiral model, in each and every stage, the things get deployed, or like it has only 4 steps kind of thing?
See, the planning phase, there is a planning phase, right? After that, there is a risk analysis, then deployment and testing, then there is an evaluation.
Evaluation.
Correct?
Okay.
Yes. So these are the steps involved in the spiral model. Okay. So last step is evaluation phase, like client evaluation, client side testing, and give you the feedback, etc. So benefit of this model is what? It allows the requirement to change. This is one iteration, you can say. It is an iterative development process. So this is one iteration.
Okay.
So the benefit of using these models are, it allows the requirement change, and it is also suitable for the large and complicated project. Why? Because risk analysis is involved here, correct? So it is used for the large and complicated project. The main thing is it allows better risk analysis. Okay, so sometimes, maybe this model is not used anywhere, but sometimes, for like some interview questions, they might ask you that in which model risk analysis is involved. Okay, so which methodology or which model of SDLC risk analysis is involved. So you should know that spiral model involves risk analysis. Okay.
Okay.
So the main thing is it allows the risk analysis, and it is also cost effective. Okay, due to good risk management. Okay, so this is cost effective also. So mainly I am taking this spiral model in our class is to tell you that these are the phases involved, and it's very important interview question also. Okay. So that's why I'm keeping this in our course. Okay. What is the disadvantage now? Disadvantages is it is not suitable for small projects. Okay, because it's only for the complicated projects or the where there are more risk involved. Then only it is like worth taking this spiral model. Okay, otherwise, like only for the complicated. If it is a simple project, you don't need to involve this spiral model. Okay. Okay. So that is all about the spiral model. Now comes to the principle of testing. This is very important interview question. Sometimes it is also asked in, objectives. There are sometimes written tests before taking you into the interview, correct? So these are the important, like 6 different principles of testing. It involves detection of bugs. Okay, so what is the principle of testing? Finding defects, right? So finding defects is the first principle of testing. Now, effectiveness testing. What is effectiveness testing? Anyone know?
Effectiveness testing. Is it related to the scope, like the scope of testing kind of thing? Like what to test and how much test kind of thing?
Oh, correct. It's related to that. Like, what is this? Until your project or the application under test has a straightforward structure, no, or the limited input, it would be like or achievable to check all the feasible set of data module, okay, and scenario. So that is called as effectiveness test. I mean, you should have all the structure given to you with a limited input. Okay, so that is, then it will be like an effectiveness testing. Okay, so that should be given to you, then only you can perform the effective testing. Okay, but actually effectiveness testing is a myth. That's what it is saying. I told you, no, like full 100% testing is a myth. That's what I told you in the previous previously I told you. So that is the principle of testing. Like you cannot achieve the 100% testing. So that comes here. So yeah, that is all about the effectiveness testing is not possible. Fully testing is not possible. That is the only thing. Now comes the early testing. Early testing is what? Anyone? As early you start the testing, your bugs will be like, it is more effective. Correct. So if now it is saying that in the requirement phase only, you start writing your test cases. Correct. So that is called as early testing. So nowadays, each and every project or each and every client, what they want early testing to get a good quality product. Okay. So nowadays, as soon as you get the requirement, the tester job is also started along with the coder job. Okay, along with the developers. So that is called as early testing. So so that what is the benefits of early testing? You will get the bugs as soon as the product is ready. The tester will quickly start their testing, and you can find the early defects, and it is very helpful for the product. Okay. And you can utilize your time. So that is the main thing. Now, fourth is what? Defect in clustering. This is very important. Sometimes it is asked in the interview question, what is defect in clustering? Anyone?
No, I don't know.
No, defect is in clustering means, there are, suppose there are an e-commerce project, okay, where you find that most of the defects will come, or you can find the clustering of defects means there are some areas where you find most of the defects. Correct? Suppose in a suppose you order a laptop, okay, laptop online, okay, so you just search for your order, okay, where whatever what do you say, whichever company or whichever anything you search it, you find it, then you like it, and then you buy it. Okay, what do you think, which is the most difficult part of all these whole system? This is a very important interview question. Okay, what do you think it's in this whole process, which is the most difficult part? Anyone?
Maybe adding cart checkout kind of thing, like that needs to be
buying
tested,
right? Because you have to link with the bank, right? So check out, like when you are buying or when you are entering the detail purchase, Correct. So purchasing is the most difficult area where you get most of the defects. Correct. Because you are connecting with the bank, and then a bank will give you the feedback that yes, I got the payment. Then only you will give that product to the delivery. Correct. So you put that product to the delivery thing. So that is called as the difficult area where you get the maximum defects.
Okay.
So the purchase area is the purchase module is the most difficult area where you can get maximum number of defects. So this is called as defect in clustering. So what you will do, you will focus main on that area where you find the most defects. So that if you don't have time, or if you don't, if you are if you have to do the testing early, or you can have a quick testing, or whatever the smoke testing you have to perform. So what you will do, you will test on those critical areas where you see that it might not work properly. Okay. Now the next is test. Test is context dependent. Anyone? What is testing in is context dependent?
It tells us about basically on what field we are doing the testing. So depending on that, we will apply different technique of the testing. So it depends on the context, like on which we are performing the testing.
Correct. So again, here also it is saying that error-free or a bug-free software is a myth. Just because when a tester tests an application and does not detect any defect in the product, it does not indicates or implies that your product is software, or your product or a software is ready for shipping. Okay. So as a time of testing module or working of a software, or you as a tester need to test whether the software is meeting all the requirement of whatever client client has given to you. The bug found during the testing has been all sorted. Okay. These are the factor needs to be considered before you ship the software to release. Okay. So it should be a if you are sending those product into the market. Okay. So all these principles. So this is called as testing context. Like you have done your testing. That doesn't mean that it is a perfect product. Okay. So it is a context dependent. Okay. And also, like as I told you, error-free testing is a myth. That's why we have a last phase, which is called as maintenance phase. Right? So that is why maintenance phase come into the picture. Okay. So these are all the principles of testing. Okay. Now moving further, there is one more module which I wanted to cover in our course. Is called as V model. Okay, so V model is basically verification and validation model. Okay. So anyone know about this V model? Anyone know what is verification and what is validation? This is a very important interview question again.
Verification is checking the documents, Chavi.
Right.
Like that can be done through like inspection, walkthroughs,
Correct.
or review sessions on the documents, only on the documents based. Whereas
Correct.
validation will be done on the code, developing code, and then testing doc.
Correct. So basically, verification is a static analysis, as you said, walkthrough and inspection, review. All these things are what? Static analysis. Static means, anyone knows about the static? When you are not in a runtime phase.
Yeah.
Right? Runtime, when you are not in a runtime phase, that is called a static. So verification is a static analysis technique. It is done without execution of the code. So for example, you have to say inspection, walkthrough, review, etc. comes under verification. Okay, now validation. Validation is a dynamic analysis technique where testing is done by the executing the code. Okay, for example, functional testing or non-functional testing technique. So all comes under validation. Okay, is that clear? Verification and validation. Okay, so in this model, so the development and QA activity. So this is development activity and this is QA activity goes parallelly. As I said, no, early testing. So this is the example of early testing. So this model, the development and the QA activities are done simultaneously. So there is no discriminate phase called testing, testing. Rather, testing starts right from the requirement phase. Okay, so the verification and validation activity go hand in hand. Okay, like as requirement comes, so the testing is also started.
Okay.
As you can see here. Yeah, tell me any question.
I have normally like when it comes to acceptance testing, right? In general, they say like UAT, user acceptance testing.
Correct.
So in this case, like normally that is done at the end, like after everything is over. So in this case, like the user requirements is defined at that time itself. The acceptance testing will be done, or how does it work?
Yeah, it's not done. It's just that you are creating the test cases. You are not executing the test cases. You are just writing the test cases. As soon as you get the requirements, you have started writing. The execution will start after coding only. Okay, so arrow is like this only, but writing of test cases is started as soon as you get the requirement. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Now we will understand each and every phase in depth. Okay, so don't worry. So first, talking about the left hand side. Okay, so this is, we are talking about the left hand side. As we know that left hand side is the development activity. Correct. So development activity, normally what we do, what testing do is in deployment phase, but this is the beauty of this model, that testing will start as soon as the like creation of test cases will start as soon as the this software specification, with software specification high level design is creating. Simultaneously, their particular test cases will also start writing. So here the requirements are collected and studied. Okay, here the requirements are collected and studied, and the system is implementing is but here what the system is supposed to do is more important, like brainstorming sessions, like walkthrough, like here, no, what you say, it's a verification. Okay, so in verification, like brainstorming session, walkthrough session, interviews sessions, all are done here. It's an so verification activity, like all these things, no, all these things are done in the user requirement. Okay, understood? And Accordingly, acceptance testing test cases are written here. And when you go to the software specification, that time you will start writing their system testing test cases. Okay. And when there is a high level design, that time you will start writing integration testing, writing the integration testing test cases. When it comes to the low level design, you will start writing the unit testing test cases. So once the coding is done, you can start executing your test cases, whatever you have written. Are you understood? Are you understanding my point? Any doubt? Any doubt in this?
No, like it means like whenever coding part is done, then we can start our testing, right? The
Correct,
initial
correct.
state.
Immediately it will start the testing. Okay. Okay. Any doubt in this, you can ask me.
So what is software specification?
Software specification is just a phase, like software, whatever requirement documents you have you have collected, then you write the specification, software specification, like you have written the their test plan, all those documents which you are creating, that comes under specification, like user document specification, no, all those which I told you, right? In the, these are all the phases with of SDLC only, correct?
Okay.
I've told you in detail, right? All those documents which are created by the architect, no, high level design, low level design, all these things. These are all phases.
So basically in the perforated areas, like for example, test plan, acceptance test plan, test plan, everything, we create the document, like we will get ready for the testing. And yeah, and after the coding, we will like get into the action of executing them.
Executing the test cases, because we are ready with the test cases, we can just start executing it.
Okay. Okay, that's good. Thank
you. Okay. Any more doubt in this? Otherwise, we'll move forward. Okay. Now comes the STLC, software testing lifecycle. Okay. So software testing lifecycle is a sequence of specific activity conducted during the testing process, okay, to ensure that the software quality goals should be met. Okay. Anyone know about the software testing lifecycle? What activities to be carried out? Simple. See, in whatever is there in this SDLC, you know, the testing part here the testing part, this we are elaborating to like this, like requirement analysis, test planning. It's all about the testing, test case development, test environment setup, test execution, and then test reporting. Okay, these are all the phases involved in it. So what is test requirement analysis? This is a very first step in the SDLC. In this step, the QA team will understand the requirement in terms of what we are testing, and figure out that the testable requirements, and if there is any conflict or missing or not understood any requirements, then the QA team follow up with the various stakeholders like business analyst, system architect, client, technical manager, you know, to better understand the detailed knowledge of the requirement. Okay. So this comes under requirement analysis. The second is test planning. So test planning is the most important phase of the software testing lifecycle, where all the testing strategies are defined. And in this phase, it is also called as test strategy phase. Okay, so this is very important. I have given you one link. Have you gone through that link? What is the difference between test plan and test strategy? I have sent you in the group. Just go through it. Okay, so this is your assignment. Okay, so tell about what is the difference between the test plan and test strategy.
Okay.
Okay. So this phase is also called as test strategy phase. In this phase, typically the test manager is involved to determine the efforts and cost estimation and of the entire project. So all the cost estimation will be done in this phase. So this phase is what basically a kickoff when the requirement gathering phase is completed, and based on the requirement analysis, we will start preparing about the test plan, and the result of the test, this planning phase will be take care. Okay. Okay, the next is what? Test case de development. Okay. So what test case development is? What? When you are developing the development activity is test case development. When you start, once the planning is done, the activity is finished, then the development of test cases will be take care. And after development, what you will do? Anyone?
We will execute them.
No, first we have to review it.
Ah,
Okay, always say that there should be a review of the test cases. Once you have done with your writing of your test cases, like, see, you usually know in this V model, what you are doing, you are writing the test cases. So once this coding part is happening, what you will do? You will do the peer reviews, correct? So you have time, right? So what you will do? You will do the peer review. You will also prepare the test data, correct? Test data for testing. Once the test cases are ready, what you will do? You will do the client review also according to the requirement. You take your test cases sign off that whether you have whatever test cases you have written is correct or not. So there is in the client location also there are few a few tester were assigned where give you the sign off of your test cases that okay, your test cases are matching with our requirement, and if you test all these test cases, that will do the whole coverage of your product. Okay, so that is why sign off is very important. Okay. Okay, so once you do your test cases, you will do the sign off. Okay. What I said, peer review of a like peer review is also important according to the traceability matrix. So traceability matrix is also very important. You should also know what is traceability matrix. So this is also your assignment, that find out what is traceability matrix. Okay. So traceability matrix will track the requirement where each test case is marked with the requirement and using the RTM. What is RTM? Requirement traceability matrix. Okay, which track the backward and forward traceability. After all this, what you have to do, you have to set up the environment. Okay, so execution is little far. It's not right like you have written the test case and then you execute. You have to set the environment. Okay, right. So this is also very important step. Okay, so after all this, you have to set up the environment for testing so that basically you test the in the same condition where your user are testing. Okay, so or your developer are developing some that environment, you should get it, and then you can do the execution. Once that environment is set up, for setting up the environment also there is a different team. It's not like tester do the setup. It's a different team who create the environment for you, and then you start executing your test cases. Okay.
Chavi,
Mm-hmm.
who prepares this RTM, Chavi, like a requirement traceability
Yeah,
matrix?
RTM is created by tester only.
Each and individual tester will maintain this RTM.
Yeah, that you have to find out. This is your assignment. You have to study about the RTM and come prepared. You have to find out that who prepare RTM, who is going to maintain that. No, and what is art? If someone asks you what is RTM, what will be your answer? That you have to prepare. Okay. Mostly it is it is prepared in very beginning of the requirement document only. Okay. When you are gathering the information, that time you prepare the RTM, and according to the RTM, what you will do, you will write your test cases and you will check that, whether you have covered all the each and everything, whatever you have written in the RTM while writing your test cases. Okay. Any question, any doubt till now? Okay. Moving further, what is test execution is done, right? After that, test execution, you will get some defects, right? And there is some log is there. Sorry. So, so what we will do, we will maintain a test report, which we will tell that in that we will tell that how many test cases are passed, how many test cases are failed. So that report is called as, in that report there are test logs where how many test cases are failed, passed, defects, tracking of the defect, still the defect is open or closed, or whatever the status of the defect, we will give that. Okay, so that is called as test report. So these are the various stages of software testing lifecycle. Okay. Now, types of software testing, that we have already know that there are mainly two types of testing: manual, which does not involve any automation, and the automation testing, which involves tools. Right. So automation testing involves tools and to overcome the drawbacks of the manual testing. Okay. So till now, whatever you have learned is all about the manual testing. That is a testing of the software which is done manually without any automation tool, correct? That available in the market. So what all the tools available in the market are like Selenium, UA, all those tools like
many, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think many tools, right? There are
many tools like UFT, Load Runner, all these tools are available, but in our course we are going to focus on Selenium. So automation testing is an automated technique where the tester write their script and use a suitable tool to test the software, which is basically the automation process. Okay, so why we if we are in the starting of the project, can we automate our project, what you say, software? Can we automate it? Is that possible?
Not generally. It needs to be a bit matured product. That's
Correct.
what I.
Correct. So it should be it should basically be a stable product, because what we will do, once we are doing the automation, we cannot frequently change it. Okay. Basically for the regression testing, you know what is regression testing? Anyone know about the regression testing?
regression testing, it is it has a special test suite that has the most important functionalities, like the end-to-end kind of functionalities will be added and tested every time when they release the major software this thing product. Release.
Correct. So that is called as regression testing. So basically, when we use a Selenium tool or any tool, that is for the regression testing mostly. Why? Because we have to test our set of regression test cases again and again. The same test cases we have to apply to our project. So that's why we automate those regression test cases so that we don't need to run those set of test cases manually again and again. Okay. So what is this? If you have to manually do again and again, that is firstly very time consuming. Correct. So and also it's a risk of error, high risk of error. Why? Because when we do it manually, there is always a risk of error because human are bound to do errors, right? So that's why and also required a tester all the time. You want a tester all the time when you do it manually. So manual creation of log is also not possible. Like always you have to manually create the log, correct, and repository and then send it to clients. So in automation, it automatically creates a log and then you can simply copy paste and send it to the client. Also, due to limited time, you have a limited scope. So you cannot cover each and every part of your regression. If it is a big project, you cannot cover each and every part of regression. So this is a limited scope, which is not good. Okay, so that's why automation comes into picture because it's a fast and frequent execution. It gives you more accuracy, lesser investment in time, in human resource. It is time and cost effective, and it is early to market. Why? Because if you are ready with your product testing, then you can market your product, and it supports in retesting. Okay, so these are the benefits of automation testing. Now comes the methods, software testing methods. So these are the three main methods of software testing, which is called as black box testing, white box testing, and gray box testing. Anyone know about this? What is black box, white box, gray box? This is also very important interview question.
Black box testing is the one with it is testing mainly the visible part, UI part kind of thing, like the functionality part. White box testing is the code, like the back end kind of thing. Like basically we don't see the product, but we test it at the code level kind of thing. Gray box, I don't remember.
See, black box testing is also called as behavioral testing, where the software tests the internal structure, design, and implementation. Everything is done and user interface of the product, but what we don't know the code part, okay, which is coding part is not known to the tester. So that is why it is called as black box, because inside what is there, as the name said, it's a black. We are just testing the requirements. We are testing the we are just implementing whatever requirements we are given to us. We don't see the coding part. Okay, that is called as black box testing, where the input is being passed to as a test cases of black box, but the internal implementation or details are not known to the tester. Okay. The next is white box testing. White box testing also called as glass testing. Why? Because it's like a glass where you can see through it. Correct? As the name says, you can see through it and And this type of testing techniques deal with the testing the internal structure or the logic design or the implementation of different modules. So that is why it is called as white box testing, where you can see the internal structure, that what is happening, what is the coding part. So that is called as white box testing, where you can see the code and based on that you are doing testing. Okay. Third testing is what? So little bit description given here. You can go through that, whatever I explained. So now gray box testing is what? It's a mixture of both. Okay, black box plus white box. So in this, it combines the concept of both white box as well as the black box testing. Okay, in gray box testing, the internal implementation detail is partially known to the tester. Okay, while the rest are not known to the tester. Okay, so that is the reason it is called as gray box testing. Okay, so there are three methods, as I told you: white box, black box, and gray box. Okay.
Okay.
Any confusion in all these methods? All the testing have the purpose of this testing have to find the defects. Okay. Right. Now comes the functional and non-functional testing. Okay. Anyone know what is functional, what is non-functional testing? See, first I will tell you the examples of functional testing. Functional testing is called as unit testing, exception testing, smoke testing, integration testing, regression testing. Okay. Non-functional testing is what? Performance testing. Okay. Scalability testing, volume testing, load testing, stress testing. Okay. So this can be done only with the help of tools. Okay. This functional testing, sorry. Yeah. So this functional testing can be done by the software tester. This can be done manually as well as by the tools. Okay. For this type of testing, you have a separate set of software tester. Okay, who are like for performance, there are like load testing, no, JMeter, all those things. So this type of testing can be done only with the help of tools, and this can be done manually as well as with the help of automation tool. Okay, so performance functional testing is always performed before non-functional testing. Okay, so first the functional testing is, all these testing are done, then only these type of testing can be performed. Okay, once it is done, then only we go for the non-functional testing. Okay, based on customer requirement. Correct. So if it is required or not, it based on the customer requirement. Okay. It describes what the product does. Like functional testing tell you that what all the product does, and it tells you how the product does. Okay. So basically, when we are testing a Facebook page, okay, so what we can do, in this functional testing, we can check that whether it is logging into the system or not correctly. Okay, we can check that whether if we are searching something, we are able to find the correct output or not. Correct. All these comes under functional testing. Now here, non-functional is what? If 1,000 people log into the Facebook, then what will happen to the system? You are getting my point? That is called as load testing. If there are so many people, so you cannot do it manually, right? How it is performing when so many people are hitting the same Facebook application, and they are hitting at same time, how the how the system will perform, okay, how the software will perform, how this web application will perform. So this will cannot be done with the help of we cannot do it manually. We can only do it with the help of a tool, right? So all these are called as this. You have to go through it. You have to. This is also your assignment. What is unit testing? What is acceptance testing? Smoke testing, integration testing, regression testing. You have to know each and everything. Like what is performance testing? It's not required that you should know performance testing, but what is performance testing? You have to read it. Okay, this is also your assignment. What is scalability, volume testing, load test? At least you should know that. Okay, what is stress testing? You should know about the functional as well as non-functional testing. Okay. Moving further. Okay, you should know about all these things, and just this is also your assignment that you have to take care of your understanding. You should have an understanding of what is integration testing, system testing, acceptance testing. Okay. If you have any doubt, we can look into it in the next class. Okay. Go through this also, like what is test plan, test scenario, and test strategy also. Okay, this is missed here. Test cases, testability matrix. Okay, you should learn about all these things. Defect management. Okay, now we come to the defect management.
Chavi, I have a question.
Yeah.
This document is shared, right? Like we can find it out in the in our
Yes.
Google.
Yeah, no, not in Google. In the chat I have shared, in WhatsApp chat. No, I have shared one. This is day one PPT.
Okay.
The day one PPT which I have shared.
Okay.
I will share it again also. It's not a problem. You will get this document.
No problem.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
No problem. About any doubt till now, or you wanted to ask anything about functional testing, non-functional testing, software testing labels? This we have already covered, so I'm skipping this. These are all the documentation artifacts. Okay, you go through this. This is only the what do you say, technical, theoretical part. There is no. Anyone was asking anything? I missed. Okay. Okay, now comes the defect management process. So what is defect management? When you log any defect, correct? When you log any defect, you have to manage that defect, right? From starting point till end. Okay. The process of filing the defect and fixing the defect, that is called as defect management. That process is called as defect management. Okay. It is necessary to say that the bug occur constantly in the process, right? So bug will occur constantly in the process. So you have to manage that defect, and then you have to create a defect list, bug list. Okay. Also, there is one more assignment I wanted to give you is what is the difference between a defect and a bug? Okay. You have to find out that what is the difference between a defect and a bug. Okay. Note it down. Now comes the defect life cycle. Can anyone explain? Anyone have gone through it? What is the defect life cycle?
Defect life cycle is basically how the defect is getting created and getting fixed from the day it is getting created, and how it is passing into the different stages. For example, the tester will log the defect after testing the functional, the test case. And if the test case doesn't pass, and if it has any trouble, then we will log it as the defect, depending on the situation. And after then it will go to the developer. And if it is, they will see whether, I mean, it will go back and forth, but in general, it will go to the developer. And if it is a valid defect, they will fix that part of the code, send it to the tester back. And tester test it again, like with the same environment and everything. And if it passes, then it goes to they will close the defect. And whatever the process, sign off, or depending on the company, they will do the things.
Correct. So the thing is, first a tester will create a new defect, correct? And then it will assign it to a developer, correct? Assign it to developer. Then if the developer says that this defect is valid, then that defect will become active. If it is says that that defect is not valid, then it will go to the rejected part, that it is not a valid defect. There is one deferred. Deferred means what? Anyone know? What is deferred?
Deferred. I don't remember actually.
Deferred is when this particular defect is for the future. What you say? It comes in the future release. Okay, this is a defect, but that module will come in the future. Okay, so we will make it as deferred, so that once that module or once that phase will come, then we will resolve this defect and then we will close it. So that is called as deferred. Okay, and there is one more thing which is called as duplicate. If there is two defects raised by different people, but it is a same type of defect, then we make it as duplicate defect. If it is a valid defect, it will become active. Then it will be like fixed, and then it will again given to the tester for testing. If it is resolved, then it will be verified or closed. Otherwise, verified in the sense it is retested and then closed. If it is not resolved and it can be reproducible, then we reopen and assign back to the developer. Okay, clear everyone? Is there any doubt? Abira, Anu, Somil, you are not saying anything. Are you active or you are
I'm
sleeping?
here. I'm here. No, I'm
Okay.
here.
Okay.
Because I took this training, so I was going through the notes as well, and I
Okay.
was like shocked. Like everything is like a different.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
So it's helpful for you?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Okay, great. Okay. Any doubts anyone have till now? Okay. So this is all about the defect life cycle, which is very important. This is also a very important interview question. So just go through it. And if you have any doubt, we can discuss this later also. So about this defect management. So what we have done with the defect life cycle. Now defect detecting, formulation of defect bug report, and bug fixing and bug list creation. So these things we will do it in the next class. Okay. And then there are interview questions. Please go through each and everything. I know I cannot take everything in one class, but I wanted to start Java in the next class. Okay. So if it is possible, we will start the Java class in the very next class. Otherwise, if you have any doubt, we will take half class for the doubt clearation. Okay.
Okay. It is on Tuesday, isn't it, Charlie?
No, it's on Sunday.
Oh yeah. Okay.